Wow, I gotta say, this month has definitely been a really busy one in terms of like things have been going on with my professional life and also doing a little downtime as well, and while also picking up on some new hobbies to help improve my sense of creativity and even my critical thinking and all that stuff. And also been doing made a lot of headways on my backlog as well, just like playing some games on my Steam backlog, and also probably took a little time to take a little break from Steam because I mainly use it to record footage to use for or basically use that for videos like this and also on the Gamerverse Hub channel, but also kind of broke away from that just recently, just playing in some other games I have not finished on my NES Classic, and such as recently about a week ago I had finished playing Mega Man 2, which has definitely been a great game, and I'm just kind of painfully trying to get through Kid Icarus. Like, it's also fun, but also the difficulty can be a little bit frustrating, and also and just not only doing some retro gaming, but also it's also been in a very interesting month to be a Halo fan as well, especially since I know recently, like just at the start of this month, I think the Dig Site team actually recently released basically made the Halo 2 demo, like the original Halo 2 demo that did came out back in the year of 2003. Well, actually was showcased in 2003, even back at E3, like around summer of that year. They actually made it. They actually recently got went through the old files and all that stuff, and actually it's now officially playable as well, just on the Steam Workshop. And and I gotta say, like, despite how heavily scripted it was, to where there are some parts that were supposed to trigger in the Halo 2 demo didn't seem to trigger at all, unless I was supposed to be at this certain point at this certain time to make things happen in order to proceed from point A to B. It was definitely really nice to finally get a little taste of that old history of what Bungie originally kind of had their own vision with what they were going to do with Halo 2, but only do so many of those last minute crunch time revisions to actually get it out to with the Halo 2 that we got to this day. And and not only just that, but recently this week it looks like they've also released one of the cut Halo 2 missions in that was supposed to be set on one of the moons that was next to the gas giant, where the original, where Installation 04, which was the Halo ring from the first Halo game in the series, was located at. There was supposed to be a mission in there as well, to where instead of just like in the retail version of Halo 2, where you were first playing as the Arbiter, where it lasted for about a couple of missions, and the second mission is basically just stopping the heretic leader from basically escaping the last minute, and then initiates a boss fight. But however, in the the original idea that Bungie had with Halo 2 was basically the heretic leader was supposed to be successful at escaping and then actually made his way to one of the moons that originally orbited the gas giant, where Installation 04 was. And and I gotta say, just playing it for myself just this weekend, it was wow. Imagine if this actually made the cut. Halo 2 would have been a much different game, and especially with some other early content, that they actually, some of the elements that was going to be part of the third act, which Bungie originally cut, to where they also had take some of those ideas that they had for the third act of Halo 2, or was going to be in the third act in Halo 2. They actually had to revise everything to fit into the narrative of Halo 3, and actually wrap up what they were going to the story they were trying to convey. And just this is also kind of really interesting, especially the way the mission was designed. This would have been, I gotta say, probably would have been one of my favorite Arbiter missions in Halo 2, especially with, I believe, Sacred Icon. I think the Sacred Icon on mission in Halo 2 was whenever you just get back to playing as Arbiter after you finish playing one of the Delta Halo missions as Master Chief, and you kill the Prophet of Regret, and then you transition back to playing as the Arbiter to retrieve the Sacred Icon. That's considered to be one of my favorite Arbiter-centric Halo 2 missions back then. And and so that's actually been pretty great, and so on, and so yeah, moving right along. So yeah, I've been like, I've still been like plugging away through my backlog of games instead of like despite all my friends and coworkers getting all hyped up about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I'm just not really that fully invested into modern gaming, at least as much as I used to be, or at least like, the way things are with the AAA market is just like, it kind of gets you to want you to constantly consume and focus on XP points instead of just like the fun, just like actually enjoying the game, and which is also personally one of the reasons why I still have a bit of a strong preference for like, playing that classic Halo multiplayer on MCC, which I unfortunately have not been doing in months, ever since hearing about those so-called hackers who are just like messing the game up. And I just don't, and as someone with a cybersecurity background, especially like being with having Security Plus, I'm just not sure if I really want to take my chances to actually go back into playing the Master Chief Collection and getting back into the groove of playing and like Halo's multiplayer, just in case of my in my PEI data gets compromised and they just get leaked somewhere or that I do not want them to get leaked at. I just rather not take my chances, to be honest, unless Halo Studios actually does have like a solution to how to fix that problem that's plaguing MCC and all that stuff. But only time will tell. But and so yeah, that's kind of like what I've been doing in this November. And also along with that, I'm also once again going to be back on the plane and heading down to Louisiana to see family for Thanksgiving for a week, and I'll be flying, which will be starting on Monday, and then also we'll be back around next week, and we'll just like basically wrap up 2024 and just kind of like reflect on my accomplishments or where I actually did fumble on, and what can I do to actually improve on those weak areas in the following year, which is like just a lot of things have been going on with 2024. Like it's kind of like had been more of a roller coaster for me, just like me just starting grad school and actually getting into a new job with barely any experience at all. But right now, I think like seeing all the money points that I had with my professional life, I think I can see where I could actually need to look into to actually move on the following year. But not only it improve my professional life, it looks like I'm also gonna get promoted in next year, which means like the quality of living is actually gonna really improve a lot more, and maybe I might actually it'll make it a lot easier to afford more. Actually, afford a lot of other equipment that I can actually use to help improve my content in the future. To where right now, like things that like most of the gameplay footage that I'm using like in most of my videos these days is just focusing on games that have been sitting on my backlog for a good amount of years, and I'm just like using them to record footage. And I even got like a massive backlog of footage of a lot of these Steam games. But hopefully, if I do manage to like get myself a new Elgato capture card, which I can use to record footage off my consoles, and hopefully maybe one of my other retro consoles like my Super NES Classic and my NES Classic, which I've been playing recently, as I did mention earlier, just having a great time just playing some Mega Man 2 and also trying to grind through Kid Icarus. Just technically I know Kid Icarus is kind of like more of a short game, but it's a very difficult one and I gotta say, like to actually complete, but still pretty fun. It's definitely a classic in its own way, but also has so many other letdowns that kind of like hinder it from being like right up there with Mario and Zelda and Metroid. But and also maybe afford myself a new camera to where I'm also kind of like doing try to record some off-screen footage every once in a while, instead of just like seeing like, oh, there's gameplay footage, and also but also just want to like do some off-screen stuff as well as and hopefully that's something that I can will hopefully try to improve on on depending on my budget for next year, because I know things can definitely can change in terms of like cost of living and all that jazz, which can be a pain in the butt sometimes. But that's kind of like how. But things are but we'll just see how things will actually play out, and so yeah, hopefully in my next video, I think I might try to do more of a year in review for 2024 and things I want to try to tackle in 2025. And what goals I want to achieve in 2025 and maybe 2026. But I think 2026, that might be a little bit far off, but maybe we'll just gradually just focus on one thing at a time. And so that's, well, I guess that's kind of how it's been. So if you guys have been watching this, I hope y'all really enjoy my commentary of things I've been doing in November. But however, I like to also want to hear your thoughts as well. What have you guys been doing in November anyways? Have y'all been, are there any new games you've been playing or new hobbies you've been working on, or what kind of other things that you've recently achieved in 2024 they think will be worth sharing? Or have you also been really getting into playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Because I know there's a lot of praise with that game recently, but personally for me, I'm just not really that invested into the Call of Duty franchise as much as I used to be back with Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, and then World at War, and also the original Modern Warfare 2 in 2009. And also, definitely good shout out to the original Call of Duty Black Ops. Basically, Black Ops 1 was definitely a good one back then. And there's I think I do consider them to be my top 4 games in the Call of Duty franchise. And just, that's all I gotta say. And yeah, I know this video was a little bit short, but it just also got me a little bit rambling. But I just sometimes wish I can just really utilize even more time to actually try to produce more content on this channel as much as I want to. But sometimes life can definitely get in the way, especially when you're trying to balance your professional life and hobbies and all that stuff, and also and especially how you just gotta focus on your business ideas, such as the Gamerverse Hub of channel, which I've been working on, where I'm just okay, so I just gotta find one video that's gonna really hit the algorithms and the SEOs pretty well, and just talk about anything any major news that's been happening in the gaming industry this week, such as oh yeah, it looks like Nintendo's gonna kind of definitely dealing with some bad stuff with Sony, and then also we got some recent updates on what we can expect on the future of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, which I did cover recently just this morning, and just all this stuff, and just sometimes you just gotta really find that nice balance, and not everything's always going to be fit in a very perfect and static schedule, but things are just going to get a little bit more dynamic in your everyday lives. But just gotta get up and roll with the punches, I gotta say. And so yeah, that's all I gotta say right now, guys. I love you all, and I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. All right, peace out.